A group of biological molecules called carbohydrates is a versatile group of molecules synthesized in the cytoplasm of cells. The building blocks of carbohydrates are monosaccharides. Monosaccharides consist of molecules that have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen with a 2-to-1 ratio between hydrogen and carbon. The most abundant of monosaccharides is glucose, a 6-carbon molecule. Two other common monosaccharides are fructose and galactose. Fructose, glucose, and galactose are 6-carbon monosaccharides. They are often written in the form of a ring of carbons with an oxygen at one corner and a carbon at each of the corners of the ring with one carbon outside the ring. Another group of monosaccharides are 5-carbon sugars, deoxyribose and ribose. These monosaccharides are found as part of nucleic acid molecules. Sugars are short chains of monosaccharides. Disaccharides are sugars consisting of 2 monosaccharides. The picture depicted here, we have one monosaccharide and another monosaccharide covalently bonded to each other by a dehydration synthesis, making a 2-monosaccharide molecule called a disaccharide. This is a sugar, short chains of monosaccharides. Common disaccharides are sucrose, made of 1 glucose and 1 fructose. Lactose are made of glucose and galactose. These disaccharides are made in the cell by dehydration synthesis, taking one monosaccharide, another monosaccharide, removing a water molecule, and covalently bonding both monosaccharides. Thus, the cell can make short chains of 2, 3, 10, 12 monosaccharides linked together. These are sugars. On the other hand, large chains of monosaccharides linked together are called starches or polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are made of hundreds of monosaccharides linked together. Most polysaccharides use glucose as the building block of the molecule. Important examples of polysaccharides are cellulose, the most abundant organic molecule on Earth, makes up the cell walls of plants and most algae. Glycogen is the polysaccharide used as energy storage by animals and most bacteria. Dextran is a sticky polysaccharide secreted by some bacteria. Starch is the subpolysaccharide that plants use as energy storage. These figures depict polysaccharides. These small dark circles represent glucose molecules, hundreds and hundreds of glucose molecules linked together by dehydration synthesis with covalent bonds, creating these complex structures. Large hundreds and upon hundreds of monosaccharides linked together are called polysaccharides. Polysaccharides can bond with other molecules like amino acids and lipids, creating even more complex molecules called complex polysaccharides. This figure depicts a complex polysaccharide. This is the complex polysaccharide that makes up the cell wall of most bacteria. The yellow circles, NAM and NAG, represent monosaccharides linked together into long chains, creating a polysaccharide molecule. The blue structures protruding from the NAM molecules, linking one chain of polysaccharides to another chain of polysaccharides, are amino acids, short chains of amino acids, which we call peptides. So these peptide bridges link these chains of monosaccharides together, creating a complex polysaccharide structure. The function of carbohydrates can be summarized into three. Carbohydrates are used as energy. Sugars are immediate sources of energy used by cells, whereas polysaccharides are used as forms of storage energy. Carbohydrates are also carbon sources that cells use to make other biological macromolecules. For example, nucleic acids have monosaccharides, deoxyribose, and ribose in their structure. Carbohydrates are also used as structural components of cells. We find carbohydrates making cell walls and bacterial capsules. Sugars and polysaccharides are not antigenic molecules. However, complex polysaccharides are antigenic molecules. Complex polysaccharides found as structural components of some microbial cells can trigger immune system cells in animals to secrete antibodies that will bind to the complex polysaccharides of microbial cells. You should now be able to answer the following questions. The cell wall of bacteria is made of peptidoglycan. What types of biological macromolecules would you expect to find in the cell wall of bacteria? Is peptidoglycan a sugar, a polysaccharide, or a complex monosaccharide? Would you expect bacterial cell walls to be antigenic? You should also be able to make a list of the most common monosaccharides mentioned, a list of the common disaccharides mentioned, and a list of the common polysaccharides mentioned.